HonkTown Survival was one of the longest and most ambitious projects I have ever worked on. Some things happened behind the scenes that I don't think should stay that way any longer. This is the story of HonkTown Survival. Before I begin, I just want to mention that everything in this video is factual. I do not mean to hurt anybody by this video. This is simply an explanation of why I decided to end the series. Feel free to subscribe, but I won't mention it too often in this video because this is a serious one. I started getting into the Dream SMP shortly after Lenovo gained independence. I dreamed of one day having a server with an epic story such as this one. I ended up creating the realm on January 9th, 2021. I had been planning lore and adding members and getting everyone excited, and I finally did it. These people were Frosty, Ender Vibes, myself, Noodle Animations, and Mr. Eagle 27. Little did I know that I had already doomed the server. I logged on for the first time on January 10th, 2021. The video is still public on my channel, but the footage was lost to it being too laggy. I slipped in some lore in the first video. So basically what my plan is, I plan to be in control. Sounds like I'm very controlling, but in my opinion, since I created this server, I should rule it, right? I proceeded to post one more video and then stream 4 more times. Then one day, this happened. They had plans to destroy my empire, and I wasn't happy because it interfered with the planned lore. I confronted the other members of the server to find out who was part of this, and Ender and Frosty both told me what happened. This was the beginning of the Inactivity Era. This time of the server was not that interesting. It was still one of the most active times for the server though, as I was streaming every other day. Until February 7th, when I stopped streaming and started researching for a new computer. That was the day everything went silent. The server still had activity on it, but only off camera. A huge chunk of history has been lost to my inability to create content. Nothing really important happened until one day. Started adding people again. They were Haxor's Rage, Way, Bad Tom, BP_DW, and Jeremy the Scoot. From this day, April 3rd to June 12th, I started writing lore. We planned a trailer and everything. It was going to be huge! On the first day Blake, aka BP_DW, logged on, we got a taste for what a normal SMP was like. I gave him the tour, and he ended up stealing some end crystals from Noodle, and a few other items that I can't remember. Noodle was enraged, and honestly, I don't remember how I ended up killing him, but I did. He ended up escaping, and now he was on our wanted list. One day, I caught him running around in HonkTown uninvited, so I ended up killing him again. We then put him on trial, and he decided to try and escape from court, which ultimately got him killed. At this point, he was canonically dead, but because it was his 3rd day on the SMP, we decided to reinstate those lives and put him in jail instead. I didn't have much time to construct the prison, so he just mined out. F in the chat for the prison. June 10th. The very first lore stream. It went terribly. It took half an hour to get it organized, and the lore that finally came around wasn't even that good. We didn't do another lore stream for a while until June 26th, when this happened. A discussion was brought up on the Discord server between Rage and I. Rage questioned why we had lore and why we had to follow my story. At first, I wouldn't budge, as I had been working on that lore for 3 months now, But Rage brought up a better point than mine. I decided he was right, and opened up about the stress scripting and setting up lore caused me. And in a sudden realization and a moment of anger, I decided to scrap the lore. Everything I had been working on for the last 7 months had just been thrown away. It was hard to make that decision, but I knew it was the right thing to do. And as we thought about what was to come, we realized a bright future awaited us. Or so we thought. Ender Vibes wanted to rejoin HonkTown again after 6 months of inactivity. I was excited to have an OG member back online and happily invited their new account. Almost immediately after, Ender reveals their ideas for an epic storyline full of war, tragedy, and like every trigger warning in the book. And I forgot why I removed the lore in the first place. I thought it was because it stressed me out. No. It was because the lore restricted the gameplay and ruined the fun. I had forgotten why I made that huge long announcement about reforming the SMP. I thought that having meetings to discuss the lore was the best way to make everybody happy, but I had not yet realized the fatal flaw in the nature of the server, and it was about to tear the server apart once and for all. The Demolition Era began somewhat around the final lore era. Noodle and I looked out at the old HonkTown, and because we both really wanted a town that looked nice, we decided to knock everything down, and we promised to replace it with better looking things. And we set up systems such as build permits in provinces. We set up a system for colonies too. And if you take a look at the current HonkTown map, there are no replacements. Nothing in the 3 months we had to build anything. So, with all the new rules, everyone began to move out. Rage, Eagle, and Blake went out to create their own town, which in my opinion is the best looking one on the server. And Way and Ender went out to create their own town. Noodle and I were the only people left in HonkTown who actually played, and it really killed the fun. This was the beginning of the end. Noodle suggested that we look at the oldest HonkTown backup, and when we did, we were overwhelmed with the amount of nostalgia that laid in that town. All of the old buildings were there. The castle was only on its second design, and some really old buildings, such as the trading hall, didn't even exist yet. This was set back in the time of the first lore, back in February. Noodle and I both realized that by removing all these bad-looking buildings, we removed the community that was HonkTown. The beauty of the town was in all the not-so-pretty houses. I made an announcement saying that if anybody wanted to come back and live in HonkTown again, they could, but it was too late. I knew we made a huge mistake, and it had cost the server everything. And this takes us to the most recent events. The server had been inactive recently, and nothing really happened. I knew the server needed some spice. I wanted to do this SMP the right way, but the state the server was in didn't allow for me to go back and fix my mistakes. I realized that ending the server might be the only option, and that's what I proposed. A new SMP, to be greater than its predecessor. HonkTown was supposed to be a masterpiece, but it ended up being a total failure. After I posted the announcement about the new SMP, Rage, Way, and I began a discussion about mods we could use to spice up the server and make it more interesting, which became a conversation about the point of the SMP and what we all wanted out of it. I had created the SMP to grow my channel and bring everyone up along with me, but I had made one mistake that doomed the server from the start. I never reminded myself why I did it. Darryl Leaves, in his book The YouTube Formula, said, "Write out your finish line and put it somewhere where you will see it daily. Don't lose sight of why you're creating, especially in the hard times." Here, you can see exactly what happens to a project that doesn't do this. When finding people to join the server, I had forgotten what the point of this project was, and it brought the wrong crowd together. This ravaged the server until we decided to end it. I wanted content, and they wanted to have fun. This was one of the greatest mistakes in the history of HonkTown survival. And this is why I'm shutting down the server. Although I value the lessons learned and the friends I made, HonkTown survival cannot live on. The server was doomed from the start. I learned a lot though, and that will never die. I appreciate all the members' friendships, and I hope they will be interested in the new SMP. I hope you understand why we made this decision. It was hard, but it was the right thing to do. Please follow my friends and I. We spent 8 months on this project, and it would mean a lot to me if you could help me pay them back. Click on this card right now for some footage of the final festival, or maybe you want to see all the videos of the past of HonkTown, then click on this playlist. Thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.